From Careco TV, one of the longest running outdoor programs on television today. Exploring the country and the coast in search of adventures. From the mountains of the great Northwest to the shores of the Atlantic Ocean. This is Americana Outdoors, presented by Garmin. This week on Americana Outdoors, we'll be meeting up with some of the top dogs in the bass fishing world as they give us insight into how they set up their Garmin Electronics to give them the best advantage on the water. And we'll watch them reel in some giants along the way.
There's one. Let's see what he is. Little fish right there. Right on the front hook. I like to see them getting the front hook of the bait. That tells me that they're pretty aggressive and they're really hitting all the bait. So that's a good thing. You know, what I'm fishing here is the top of submerged grass, and people really think a Livescope is a deep water tactic, but it's not. It's something I use a lot in shallow water. Now I use it a little bit differently when I'm fishing shallow water. And if you look up here right now, for example, I can see out in front of my trolling motor. What I'm really looking for more than the fish in this shallow water is the vegetation. And you can very clearly see that you know, there's about 2 feet of space between the surface and the veg. And I can pan and I can see where there is grass, and I can see like out that way there's no grass. And I can pan in more to the right and we got grass. So it helps me find those little specific underwater corners and those exact little sweet spots where those fish like to sit. Baby, come right here. Come see me. Something else Livescope really does for me when I'm fishing shallow water is I actually saw that fish and several fish around there, and I was making different types of retrieves. When I'd burn it through, I'd have a few of them react to it and they'd follow it and they wouldn't really hit it. And that told me that I needed to slow my bait down. So I'm kind of yo-yoing this lipless crankbait. I'm literally letting it tick the top of the grass and pump it up and let it fall, and pump it up and let it fall. And they're hitting it on the fall. So you need to learn to use Livescope to determine the mood of the fish, and it's going to tell you what baits you need to throw. It's going to tell you how you need to work those baits in order to trigger those strikes. Got him. Yeah, that's a nice one there. Come here, baby. Get you right here. Well, I think I'm going to get you. You're slippery this morning. She got all of it. I like it when I'm hooking fish, you know, well down inside the mouth. That's a really good sign right there. What I'm doing is I'm just using Livescope to literally find the very outside weed line here, and it allows me to be real precise with my casts, and I can be very efficient. You know, when a weed line's on the surface, you can see it. You know where to cast your spinnerbait or whatever you're fishing. But when it's under the water, you know, it's died back because we're in the wintertime, it's cold weather, but I can see it and I know exactly where those outside lines are.
When we come back, we'll see more of the Garmin Livescope in action. But before we head to break, let's see how Alton likes to utilize some of the features on his Garmin mapping units.
Hey, a great feature on the Garmin's is this shortcut preset key, and that's these 4 little buttons right here. Whether you've got 1 screen or 5 screens, shortcuts are a great way to make yourself more efficient and more organized. All you do is get the screen set up exactly how you want it, and then press and hold, and it saved that shortcut key number 1. So anytime I press number 1, it's going to take me to this exact screen. And you can see some other screens that I have currently set up on my Garmin's right now. For my side-by-sides, I'm going to use my shortcut setup keys to make myself even more efficient. I always want my 2 screens to complement each other. My most common ones I set up as number 1, and that's traditional sonar for while I'm running at high speed on this unit, and on my starboard unit, I'm using it as a mapping unit. And but let's say I wanted to do side imaging. On mine, I have them set up as preset number 4. And what that does, preset 4 here goes complete side imaging, and preset 4 here is going to take me to a combination of my mapping and my traditional sonar. So I have everything I need but the number 4 preset here complements the number 4 preset here. If I want to go back to my main screens that I use, number 1 and number 1. So I always like to organize complementing presets by the same number. So even at high speeds, if I'm running down the lake and I need to change my view, I hit 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, depending on what view is going to help me most in that particular situation.
You have a full-time job and you want to be a full-time angler. Don't waste time scouting. You want to catch fish. That's where Garmin comes in. Our mapping with Navionics data lets you see more detail than the fish do. It's kind of a big deal. Oh, and our industry-leading live sonar is so crisp and clear you'll think you jumped in. You're welcome. Now, if only we had a powerful, efficient, whisper-quiet trolling motor. Actually, we do. It's called Force. We knew you'd like that. Less time finding, more time catching fish. Only with Garmin.
When there's miles of water in front of you and hundreds of feet below, you need a boat with the chops to dominate, no matter the conditions. With the strength and technology to overcome the elements and the competition. Ranger boats, still building legends, one at a time.
Welcome back to Americana Outdoors, presented by Garmin.
So there's a weed line I want to fish down over here, and it's important to know which direction you want to fish it. I always want to position my boat downwind and cast into the wind because the fish are going to be facing into the wind. There's going to be a little bit of current created by that wind, and I always want to be bringing my lure toward the fish's nose rather than toward his tail. So today it's real easy to do that, just a light breeze, and I'm going to make sure I'm casting into the wind. I'm going to lift him in. He's got a whole face full of crankbait there. That's a good little bass. You know, as a tournament angler, Livescope has made me so much more efficient. You know, we're fishing against the clock. We have a limited number of hours to fish every single day we're out there. And we want to catch the most and the biggest in the shortest amount of time. And efficiency, it's all about being able to make as many casts as possible into those, not just casts, but the right casts. And that's what Livescope really does. And you know, I guess every fisherman kind of the same way. We all want to catch the most and the biggest in the shortest amount of time. I mean, I've never met anybody that said, no, I want to catch fewer and smaller and have it take longer. So, you know, that's where a lot of the new technologies that we've got coming out right now are helping us as anglers. They help us understand where to do what we want to do and why we're doing it. Hey, just some real quick, simple Livescope basics. It points wherever the trolling motor is pointing. So right now it's actually pointing back that way. If you look at the arrow on top of my force trolling motor, I like to just use simple little short scans. I'm just going like an inch at a time. I see a tree right here. Look, there's a fish in that tree. There's some fish on the bottom right there. The way you know they're fish, did you see how he kind of disappeared right there? If you see something moving, that'll usually tell you it's a fish, or maybe he's coming to you, maybe he's going away from you. Look at there, there's a fish right there, and he's actually swimming toward us. He's at 40 feet, now he's at 35 feet, and he's suspended down. So I know how far away he is from the boat, 35 feet, and how deep he is looking on this left side. So learn how to read your different scales on both sides. There's that fish. Right there, he's still coming to me slowly, and there's more fish about 50 feet straight out that way. I always want to put my poles down so I can sit here and make that same cast over and over again. Look at the spots on that fish. That is a beautiful fish. Look at him. Beautiful little birthmarks on it. And he's got them down both sides. Look at that, isn't that pretty? I just love that. You know, when you're fishing shallow, you need to be quiet. And with stealthiness is the most important thing that you can do. And that's one of my favorite features of the forced trolling motor. You know, when I'm looking for a trolling motor, what I really want it to do, number one is be quiet when I'm around fish. Number two is I need power if I'm fishing out in the wind or in a heavy current that will allow me to hold and do the things that I need to do. And number three is a trolling motor that's good on the batteries. Those are the most important things to me. Well, let me throw a fourth one in there. I need something that's indestructible, because if it can be torn up, I'm gonna tear it up. And the Force is the finest trolling motor in every single one of those categories that I have ever used. Now you adjust your speed on your Garmin Force trolling motor right here on the foot pedal simply by turning the dial. And you can tell what speed you're on because there's an indicator right here on the head of the trolling motor. And as I turn it up, it goes up so you can tell when you're at max speed. Most of my fishing is done on a calm day or a light breeze like we've got today. 3 bars, maybe 2 bars, but usually 3 bars is where I'm gonna spend most of my time, because it's still got enough power to keep me moving along at a good clip, but it's at a really, really quiet pace when you're in that kind of low to mid range in your speed.
After the break, Alton will reel in the biggest fish of the day and share a few more tips for setting up your Garmin mapping units.
The Yamaha VMAX V6 SHO continues to deliver the level of performance that pro bass and multi-species anglers demand. Underneath a bold and aggressive new look, an upgraded charging system with 40% more charging power meets the amped-up demand for today's advanced electronics. The VMAX SHO, raw power, reliability, and exhilarating performance for every angler who loves the sport enough to invest in the best. Yamaha, reliability starts here.
From sun up to sundown, day in and day out, we work hard. We play hard. And to keep us going during those long hours, we demand performance. Angle Coolers, the original high-performance cooler. Welcome back to Americana Outdoors, presented by Garmin. Before we rejoin the fishing action, here's a tip for how to set up your graphs to manage your time wisely on the water.
I like to go through with my 4 units and actually give specific names to my units on my boat. To do that, I'm going to go to Settings, I'm going to go to Communications, Marine Network, and this shows all of my devices. You see I have, this unit is named Console Port, and it shows you this device. I have my bow main unit and my bow Livescope unit, and then I have this unit over on the right, which is an EcoMap Ultra 126 SV. It's got no name. I'm going to call this Console Starboard. So I'm just going to touch it. I'm going to change the name and type in the name that I want for this unit. Console Starboard, STBD, Console Starboard, done. And now you can see the name of that unit. So I know exactly which unit is named what. If you're ever troubleshooting anything, it's nice to know what unit you're working with. Oh yeah, this is a nice fish right here. Big old headed fish here. Look at here, swing this baby in. Oh! These fish are sitting in about 22 feet of water, and it breaks up to about 18 kind of gently. They're off the edge of a little rock pile on the side of it. And there's current flowing from right to left in here. And you know, we're using our forced trolling motor to keep us precisely in place in a quiet fashion. Here you go, sweetheart. I caught that fish and I got another one. And I'm able to stand back up and make the exact same precise cast over and over again. And it's because of my Garmin forced trolling motor and an anchor lock that is super, super quiet and super, super precise. It's keeping me dialed in. Oh, come here. Sweetheart. I'm doing this and the boat hadn't moved an inch. Please, baby, stay on. This is my biggest bite of the day right here. Stay down, go down, not up. Down, not up. That's a fat one. Oh yes. Look at there. Man, we're just staying anchor locked right here and just keep making a long throw in the same basic direction. And man, fish like that are here. It's almost dark and they're still biting. Do we have to go home? You know, I gotta tell you something. Just looking at my bloody thumb and how much fun and how many big fish we've caught today. If you need one reason why you need Livescope, is because we wouldn't have had this day without it. If you want to be able to find those schools of fish that are really untapped and then they're sitting in unlikely, unpredictable places, that's why you need Livescope. Whew.
Coming up, we're hanging out with pro angler Tom Reddington as he shows us how he uses his Garmin Electronics to find fish and land some big ones. But first, let's hear from Alton one more time about how he uses his Garmin units to prepare for tournaments.
You know, anytime I fish a new tournament, I like to start with all my waypoint slots empty. I like to clear my units completely and then just load in waypoints that I've got saved from that lake, say on a previous trip. Now, you notice here I've got a couple of different colors of waypoints on here. And what this is, these red waypoints that I've got, these red symbols, that shows me places that I got a bite in a previous year. Well, this year when I'm fishing and I get bites and I want to know what's happening on this exact trip, I'm saving today's data in different color. I'm saving them as green dots. So I can still go and fish places where I've caught fish in years past by looking at the red, and I know where I'm doing well this year by looking at the green. So I'm always color coding my waypoints based on this particular trip so I can separate the data from trip to trip to trip, from year to year to year, even on the same lake.
Things you let me see.
There's no feeling like it. When you've prepped the gear, done the research, found the spot, nailed the presentation, and now there's only one thing left to do. Keep fishing. So gear up with all the best fishing gear. Only at Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Shop in-store or online.
Welcome back to Americana Outdoors, presented by Garmin.
The term revolutionary gets thrown around a lot, but I'll tell you what, the Garmin Livescope is truly revolutionary. It's changed the way that I fish, that we all fish, and efficiency is the key. It used to be you would get around a brush pile, around grass, throw out and open to schooling fish. Maybe one every 5 casts, every 10 casts was right on the target until you got it lined up. Now with Livescope, I see the fish or I see the target every single cast. I'm efficient, I'm always casting right to them. It has totally changed the game where you're not just throwing into space, you're throwing at a fish all the time. Livescope, it's revolutionary. You know, Livescope, everybody thinks about seeing the fish on the graph. For fishing isolated grass, isolated brush piles and stuff, I use it more for that than anything, honestly, every day. You can see where it looks like it's wide open right here. There's nothing. Well, I pan around here, and all of a sudden there I see just a little cluster of grass 25 feet away. That's where the big fish sit, out in the edge there. Livescope, it'll help you find the isolated target where the big ones live. That's the way to start the morning right there. You see I'm fishing isolated grass, fished all around here, and just looking for, with my Panoptics, with my Livescope, looking for that edge. And I stay on the edge, look at about a 30-degree angle, nothing there. If I look to the left, I get out of the grass, and there's the dots. See those fish right there? They're right on the edge. There's a good little school. I'm gonna get back into them. But Livescope keeps you on the edge, keeps your bait in the target zone every single cast. All right, so we've been fishing grass this morning, getting right on the grass edge. The neat thing about the color shading that I have on the Garmin, it makes it pop, makes it really easy to stay on the key depth. So I've set mine every 3 feet. That color shading, once you figure out the key depth, I can look all the way around the map and find points in that desired depth range. Really makes the key structure pop on your Garmin units. All right, set up depth shading on your Garmin unit, really easy. Simply go to Menu, I'm gonna go to Layers, Water, and then Depth Shading. The green there, that turns it on, and these little arrows on the side. I set mine up with a different color. I do it for every 3 feet. If I'm fishing deeper water, I can do it every 5 feet, every 10 feet. You can do up to 10 colors. And to simply edit it, I got red here, I can change the color to green, whatever I want. And then I can change the depth, minimum, to whatever I want. To me, it works out every 3 feet. It's super easy to customize, see the key structure on your lake. Pretty good sized head right there. Now with Livescope, there's a new feature that allows you to look out farther and see in more detail in front of you, or if you're fishing vertically, say a jig and spoon or a drop shot, you can see under the boat more. If you go to Menu, Sonar Setup, and Layout, it's called Reverse Range. Right now it's hidden. I can see this is 0 feet, I barely see underneath the boat. Now if I change that to full, I actually see about 20 feet underneath my boat here. Default's kind of in the middle, and minimum I only see a little bit. When I'm trying to look forward and I'm trying to spot fish in front of me, I'll do hide. I don't see any of that underneath the boat because I'm just looking in front of it. But if I want the full detail, if I'm going to drop shot or vertically jig, those fish, my boat's right here, I see fish actually underneath the boat. Deep water fish, tell you what, this is way easier than it used to be. The current's blowing, this is a power plant discharge. Current's blowing really fast. The wind's blowing like 25 miles an hour today. I'm not even on the trolling motor anymore. I have the anchor lock. Let's see, that Livescope, there's one little tiny ridge out here. You can see exactly the target you need to go to every time. Tell you what, the Garmin with the force, with the Livescope, it makes this offshore fishing so much easier, way more productive. So on your Garmin unit, it's really easy to make a waypoint. If you want to mark a waypoint right where you're at, simply go to Mark, hit Mark, and it creates a new one right there. Now if I want to drop something I saw fish schooling or maybe a lay down somewhere over here, I simply touch that spot on my map and then hit create a waypoint, and that'll create a waypoint anywhere I touch in the map. Put one out here in the middle, really easy. Ooh. There we go. How about that? Lazy man fishing. Anchor lock, school sitting underneath us. And look at that fish just swim back down to the school right there too. Think they're wound up now? Ready to catch them. A little better one. Down the hatch. Does Livescope work? You tell me.
That's a wrap for seeing how these pros set up their Garmin Electronics. From learning how to use Livescope to your advantage, to what makes the Garmin Force the finest trolling motor on the market, and how to set up your depth shading and create waypoints, the customization possibilities are endless. You just have to get out on the water and start digging into those menus to see what works best for your fishing style. Hey, thank you for watching, and join us next week on a new episode of Americana Outdoors. Americana Outdoors is a Careco TV production. This episode was made possible by these partners.
Attention anglers, are you looking for soft tubes or craws? How about big jigs, little jigs, and shaky heads of all sorts and sizes? Do you want some sweet swim jigs that you can take all across the country? When's the last time you stocked up on frogs, wacky rigs, or big old lead shakers? Maybe you just need a few swim bait heads, finesse jigs, and some good old stupid tube jig heads. You'll find all that and more fishing gear when you go online and shop the entire selection of Secret Lures now.
TH Marine has been producing top-of-the-line marine accessories to rig boats from transom to trolling motor for decades. From jack plates to fish care to LEDs, TH Marine has you covered. TH Marine, outfitting your boat from transom to trolling motor.
Born in Japan, using technology, innovation, and precision, Sunline produces the widest selection of fishing lines at the most technologically advanced line factory in the world. Manufactured at the strictest tolerances to produce victories at the highest levels of tournament bass fishing. From household names like Christie, Swindle, and Cruz, to young guns like Cook, Logan, New, and Welcher, they all trust Sunline to take them to the top of the leaderboard. Choose the line that will give you the strength to guarantee your confidence. Sunline.
We don't have a large laboratory to test baits. Why, you ask? We don't need a big laboratory because our pros fish, our employees fish, our owners fish, and our kids fish. This is our laboratory. Our R&D comes from time on the water. All that time on the water brings us thousands of hours of testing new products and improving current ones for all species. Big Bite Baits, designed to bring the big bite to your line.